Welcome to the How of Business with your host, Henry Lopez, the podcast that helps you start, run, and grow your small business. And now, here is your host.
Welcome to this episode of the How of Business. This is Henry Lopez, and my guest today is Thad Price. Thad, welcome to the show.
Henry, great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Thad is going to share his experiences, his insights, and best practices on how to hire frontline workers for your small business. By frontline workers, I mean those people that are usually interfacing with your clients or your customers, that front line, if you will, of what you offer. And the challenges, of course, that all of us face as small business owners. He's got not just a hiring platform, but of course, experience and insights on how we might be able to do that better. And so that's what we're going to chat about today on this episode. To get more information about the How of Business, including the show notes page for this episode, and to learn more about my one-on-one and group coaching programs, please visit thehowofbusiness.com. I also encourage you to please subscribe to my show wherever you might be listening today so you don't miss any future episodes. So let me tell you a bit more about Thad. Thad Price is the CEO of Austin-based ReadySetHire and Talroo. ReadySetHire is a new product for small to medium-sized businesses. It's not that new. It's been around for a bit, but new in the way of what it offers, especially compared to other platforms. But it focuses on small to medium-sized businesses, franchisees, and recruiters seeking to hire frontline and essential workers. It's powered by their platform Talroo, which is a multi-award winning, if I can get that out, talent matching platform for enterprises designed for sourcing essential and hourly workers. So there's a focus there. That has more than 20 years of experience in the online recruiting and job search industry and is recognized as a thought leader in the HR and talent acquisition space. And he generally believes that there is no industry that plays a more integral role in the economy than small businesses and helping us hire those frontline workers. So once again, Thad Price, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Great people grow great companies, and it's been a passion of mine for many years. My entire bio summed up in one sentence.
I love that. Glad you shared that. And you live in the Austin area, right?
I do. Yes, it's beautiful here. Been here for about a little over 10 years now, and it's been an exciting city to watch it continue to grow and evolve.
It's amazing. Where did you grow up?
On the East Coast, so outside of Northern Virginia, on the Chesapeake Bay. Beautiful, charming town. And so I hail from the East Coast and in Virginia. So,
got it. I live in Florida now. Well, I grew up in Florida, but I spent 31 years in the Dallas, Texas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, rather. So obviously familiar with, like you said, having gone to Austin to visit and seen its explosive growth. It is really a nice area to live. Traffic is an issue. I think that continues to be, right?
that is a fact. It has changed tremendously in over 10 years. The traffic, with so many people moving here every day, it definitely is pause.
Yeah. It's just the highways haven't kept up, right? As part of the challenge that Austin has had, as a lot of other medium-sized cities that have exploded like Austin has,
That's right. Great environment for folks looking to start their career. A lot of innovation, a lot of creative thought, and usually those ideas foster growth in cities.
Yep.
And we've seen that across the U.S. in many different cities over the years.
A lot of diversity, also a foodie town. And so one of the things, there's two things that I can't get here in Florida, at least the part of Florida where I live. Good Tex-Mex, can't get it. And good barbecue, at least Texas style barbecue. And so my favorite in Austin, and there's Franklin's, but you can't get in there. At least I've never been able to get in there. Is
you can order it online. You can actually order it online.
Okay.
So that
you order it online and then go pick it up. Is that how that works?
That's right. You can schedule it. So if you know you're coming to Austin, you can do that. That's a hack for Franklin's barbecue.
That is a big hack. So Black's is my go-to. What's your favorite barbecue in town, or one of them?
Mine would be La Barbecue. I think it's terrific. There aren't a lot of barbecue joints that have great sides, and terrific barbecue.
Right.
And that's hard to find. And I think Le Barbecue is probably one of my favorites. And if you haven't tried it, it's terrific.
Okay, I will try it next time I'm in town. Thanks for that recommendation. All right, this show is not about food. It's not about travel. It's about hiring the right people. So let's get right into it. We're talking about hiring frontline workers. It's where you have expertise. It's in part where your platform, ReadySetHire, focuses. So let's talk about some of those common challenges that you're seeing here that small business owners are facing. What's the first one that comes to mind, Thad?
The first one that comes to mind is how powerful the all-powerful job advertisement is. If you think of the idea of building a job post, many small business owners haven't, been in talent acquisition before or human resources. And so, when we think about the art and science of crafting a job description, there's a lot that goes into it. It's copy, right? You're attracting an audience to come and work for your business. And so that's more of a marketing it's more of a marketing process. And so the first thing that I would say is job postings need to be improved and need to provide transparency in what you can really expect in the role, pay wise, just work experience, what a day looks like, and then what they're truly looking for and what a great candidate looks like that you're looking to hire. And, if we think about the all-powerful job ad and the job description, that's what starts the entire application process and the entire recruitment process in so many ways. So that's the first thing that I would say that's very important that we have to spend more time refining is the all-powerful job posting.
Such a big point. I'm glad you start here because I've talked about this often. I share this with my clients. Me being an older guy, I come from the world that has long since passed us, where the attitude and the approach was, here are the requirements that you have to have. Now you, Mr. or Mrs. Candidate, must sell me on why I must hire you.
Mhm.
The job posting has shifted, understandably, in part, while that's still a component of it, in me as the prospective employer selling, I think you used the word copy appropriately, on why should someone consider joining my team. And that's a major shift that I've seen having been around hiring and employees for a long time.
Huge, huge shift. And one of the major reasons is because, especially when you think of frontline hiring, you're competing with gig marketplaces that didn't exist years ago, where you can turn on an app, you can deliver for DoorDash, you can deliver for Instacart, or you can drive for Uber. And in that world, you have this idea of complete flexibility to work when you want to work. And when you look at the amount of money that you can make in these marketplaces in different cities, it's not far off from what you could potentially work in a frontline position, and you get ultimate flexibility to work when you want to work. So what you really have to do is to share why you're an employer of excellence, why it's important for you, where someone can go and grow with a company, and ensure that your job posting reflects that, and why people like working for you.
Mhm.
This isn't a transactional experience. You should sell the opportunity, not as you see it today, but the opportunity of where it can exist tomorrow for the candidate. That will intrigue them. They'll find it interesting because it will look different than the other jobs that are out there. And behind the scenes, when you think of who you're competing with for talent, you're competing with this ultimate, you know, app mini that you can actually turn on and off when you want to work.
Yeah.
And so, but the downside of that is it's transactional income. So you really can't grow your career um, compared to potentially breaking into a great company and providing a lot of value and working your way up with more responsibility and higher pay. And
Yeah.
so we have to think about that. It's transactional employment, quote unquote, versus a career. And that's what ultimately we need to do to get people excited about your job posting and excited about coming to work for your company.
Yeah, that makes sense. And even if it's, a frontline working at my fast food restaurant, it may not be a career per se, but it's an opportunity for skills development. It's an
Yep.
opportunity for those other components that transactional job that's more pure trading dollars for hours probably cannot provide you, is what you're saying. And that has to be communicated in the job posting as much as possible. Succinctly, right? Because I can't write a novel. It's
Right.
copy, and it's got to get to the point. It's got to communicate enough of that attraction to say, that's interesting. Let me explore more on behalf of the potential candidate.
Exactly. And it may not be for this particular instance when you're looking to apply for the job. You may just want to generate income at that particular point, but you have to be thinking, all right, I'm competing with this other business that exists today that didn't exist probably 10 years ago, right? At the level that it exists today. And I can provide a way through networking, career development, skills, all these things. And if you aren't as a business thinking about providing those, you need to, because people are looking for those,
Yeah.
right? People are looking for ways in which they can grow, either through income, pay, or either through just experience and of course skills.
So that seems to speak to, and I get it, that, and again, because generalizing here, our frontline workers tend to be younger people, right? Certainly younger than me. And so they are of this different generation that is looking for something different in their employment. They, as I've always put it, there's a lot of talk about, oh, people don't want to work, or they're, whatever the case might be. I don't see it that way. I mean, sometimes I'll get in my soapbox and complain, but really what they figured out is that what we were willing to sacrifice in previous generations to give ourselves to a corporation and believe that that corporation was going to take care of us for life, they saw the fallacy in that by and large, right?
Mm-hmm.
They saw that doesn't pay off. They don't want to wait until they're 65 to be able to enjoy the flexibility that life affords them, right? They want to have a balance more. So do you agree with that, or am I off in that understanding?
Totally agree. Number one, when you survey job seekers, number one focus is pay, of course, right? People want to be paid for their value.
Yep.
Number two is flexibility. And what I will say is, uh, when we coming out of the pandemic, flexibility was a close number two to number one,
Mm-hmm.
and it shifted substantially. And I think that's because of all the life changes and experiences that happen across different families, and the juggling of priorities and responsibilities that had to happen during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we saw it in corporations who let us work from home.
That's right.
Now we're seeing a retraction of that, or that struggle between the two. But if I look at it from a small business owner's perspective, the challenge that I've always had with that flexibility is, if I've got frontline workers, well, there's a schedule that I have to support and to fill to serve those customers. So how are you seeing people juggle that need to have a certain amount of people on staff at a certain time of the day, on the weekends,
Mhm.
and yet in a prospective employee who wants flexibility?
First, I think you have to look at the individual industry and treat each industry differently based on what the expectations are. And I think that's really important to think about it. A lot of times what happens is people get hung up on this idea of flexibility, and they're like, I can't provide flexibility. And then when you peel back the onion a little bit, you can provide flexibility when you look at it through the lens of your industry or the lens of the role. And what you should be looking at is, how is this different than maybe my competitors in my area? So a great example, one thing that I encourage small businesses to do is um, build simple competitor battle cards. If you think about it in sales, right, we build battle cards of how to sell against
Mm-hmm.
potential competitors. The same thing can work for recruiting, right? If you think about in your area who you've heard, who your competitors are, who you typically find talent from, what you'll see is there'll be a common thread of reasons why they've either decided to work for a competitor, or they're coming to you from a competitor. And you can research this on Glassdoor as well for your competitors,
Mm-hmm.
and build this playbook of strategy around, what can I provide that my industry isn't providing and my area isn't provided. And that's an interesting way to think about it. And so instead of just thinking, I've got to provide ultimate flexibility, no, you need to just think about it in your world, in your industry, and in what you're serving and how you can provide flexibility and showcase that. And you may already be providing a framework around that today, but you're not celebrating it enough in your recruitment process. A lot of companies, when you dig into it and you really start understanding how they're scheduling shifts, they are providing flexibility as it relates to their industry and as it relates to their job, but they're not celebrating that as much as they should be. So, I always say it's about transparency. I think the other key to this is when you think about scheduling and shifts is if you're not having conversations with your team around, why we need this shift covered and why it's important, then you may not be successful at connecting the dots for the job seeker and for your team member. And I stress team member because I think what typically happens in a lot of small businesses is we think of our employees as family. And I think that's wrong. I think it's a team. And when you come at it from a team perspective, everyone wants to win and everyone's on the same page together. When you come at it from a family perspective, it's harder to me, right? It's harder to hold people accountable. It's harder to know that, hey, what's good for the team is good for everything. And I typically see that small businesses fall in that idea of like, it's a family. Well, it's not a family, it's a team.
No, yeah. No, well said. I love that because I also have always challenged that. And I've always actually said, with especially for managers, as I'm training managers, is we want to be friendly with our staff, obviously, but we're not, we're not there to make friends. This is a team that's working together to accomplish a certain goal, namely to serve our customers. But I love that because I think the other thing that happens to that is people read through that we're not really a family, right? That you might pretend it is, and it might sound good, but that's not really what's happening here.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Absolutely.
It is, we're exchanging value, right? You as an employee are bringing me your value, your time, your effort. I'm compensating you and giving you certain benefits. And it's an exchange of value to accomplish a common goal, which is to serve our customer typically.
Makes sense. Surrounded with transparency and communication.
Yes. Yep. This is Henry Lopez, briefly pausing this episode to invite you to join me for one of my next live online workshops. During these interactive workshops, I cover a specific topic that will help you with starting and growing your small business. Just visit thehowofbusiness.com to learn more and to register. If you need help creating an effective business plan, for example, to start your first small business, then my next business plan workshop may be just what you need. Or perhaps you need help completing your financial projections for your new business. Well, I have a workshop for that too. And if you're already operating your business, then you can probably benefit from learning how to better manage the cash in your business by attending my cash flow management online workshop. These are just a few of the workshops that I currently offer, and I keep these workshops to a small number of participants so that we have the time to answer all of your questions. Whether it's getting started with your first business or growing and exiting your existing small business, I can help you get there with one of my online workshops. To find out more and to register for a live online workshop, please visit thehowofbusiness.com. Take that next step today towards finally realizing your business ownership dreams. I look forward to having you join me for my next workshop. The competitive battle cards, I love the idea because I think that we think of competition as it relates to who are we competing with for our customers' money or share, but not our employees. It's interesting how sometimes I'll ask someone I'm working with, have you done any research lately on what even pay rates say or comparable benefits are? And usually they haven't. It's something that I guess we just don't think about. Is it partly because we're hanging on to that old school thinking of, well, here's a job, somebody's going to want it? Why is it that we're so lax in thinking of it that way, do you think?
I think so much of recruiting is reactive and we're not proactive about, how we think about the strategy. If you think of the experience today of recruiting, and it's one of the things where, you know, our goal with ReadySetHire is to take the guesswork out of everything in recruiting, right? To help provide guidance along the way, because it's hard for small businesses when you haven't necessarily worked that muscle before, right? You're opening up a new business, you haven't necessarily recruited, you haven't been in talent acquisition. And so much of talent acquisition and recruiting is the proactive experience. And by being proactive and focusing on best practices around the strategy of acquiring the right talent, instead of, I need to fill this role now, let me post a job and see what applicants I get. And that's what typically happens. And what's interesting in this world today is if you post a job and you create a job, you're going to get applicants, but there's a whole best practice process that you need to follow in order to ensure that you can attract the qualified applicants and the qualified candidates, and you don't lose them to your competitors. And that process is what's so important to get right, right? Posting a job and having a great job ad is one piece of it, but there are all of these things kind of post apply that happens when a candidate, says, I want to come work for you, that you need to make sure you get right. And I think it's this whole kind of reactive nature of business versus the proactive nature of business, treating candidates more like consumers and ensuring that, the level of service that you're providing to your customers, that's the same level of service that you're providing to your applicants. And if you think of how small businesses have embraced loyalty programs and other ways in which to connect with your customers on a customer service basis, we haven't quite nailed that as it relates to the applicants and the companies that want to come work for your business. But those applicants could also be your customers. And that's why they're so important for you in many ways, and so important to get it right, get the entire process right.
Yeah. That makes sense. It really, what you're speaking to is about a mindset shift. Like you said, most of us as small business owners, we get that job posting up, we look for somebody when we're desperate, when somebody just walked out, or where we were short, and so the hiring process gets impacted by that stress, if you will. And it's interesting how we wouldn't treat bringing on a new client or seeking a new customer that way, but yet here we are taking this approach to a critical team member, right? As everybody is. And yet we're willing to take this shortcut approach to it, as the way that you're explaining it is what it makes me think of.
In the enterprise world, we build talent communities.
Right.
And so enterprise companies build talent communities of people that may not be ready to apply right now, but like the brand, want to come work for you. And you nurture the relationship with that talent community in the enterprise world. I think that when you think of small business and customers, small businesses nurture the relationship with prospects before they even become customers, right? If you think of brick and mortar, there are a lot of people that will enter your store or your location before they buy something.
Right. Yeah.
And we still treat them with respect. We still provide them great customer service when they ask questions before they say, I want to buy. And they can sign up and learn more about your company and your brand and your products. When someone applies for a job, we get an applicant, and we're lucky as an industry if we follow up with the applicant in a couple days. We're lucky as an industry. Imagine imagine treating our applicants like our customer service email address or customer service desk.
Yeah.
Could you imagine your business responding to a customer service request 4 days later? That's what happens when folks apply for a job. And that's why you lose talent. So, this whole mind shift, you're right, around this proactive nature of talent, and talent as a strategic resource for us, as opposed to this, I'm reactive, I need to hire someone, I'm pulling my hair out, someone left, let's go try to find and post a job and try to get, someone in. That's
Yeah.
that's a
And then I'm
very different
frustrated why
world.
I'm not getting any good applicants, and oh my God, nobody wants to work. And so it's a downward spiral from there is what it was.
Exactly. And without the process on the back end to ensure that, you've got the right qualifying questions, you can automate scheduling to make it easy for you because you're the chief everything officer as a small business owner. Like all of those things need to happen. And if that happens, this magical process happens, then you can, hire the right candidate. And that's what it's all about. Great people grow great companies. The key is getting great people in your business.
And nurturing and fostering people to know about this being a great place to work, so that when it's a fit mutually, they're already there, nurtured to some degree, if possible, if that's possible for my business. Yeah.
Yeah.
This process that you keep speaking to, my question was going to be, so give me an example of where people make a mistake, but I think this follow-up point is a key one, right? So let's just explore that a little bit more for a moment, because you're absolutely right that, and what I have found here again recently is that job candidates have options, many more options perhaps than they did in the past, including something completely different, like in the gig economy, as you mentioned. So that responsiveness is critical. So is that, I'm assuming, part of what your platform helps people do?
Yes, absolutely. So when we think about Ready, Set, Hire and focusing in this idea of taking the guesswork out of hiring and recruiting, really the idea was, could we create a product and a platform that would act as a recruiting assistant? All the steps in the recruiting process that need to happen timely, they need to happen timely in order to attract and ensure that you have, interviews, which is ultimately what a business wants, right? The art and science of posting a job is just so we can all get time on our calendars with the right people and hopefully get them to our business, close
Yeah,
them and get them part of our business.
right.
And so what we were looking to do is take the entire recruiting process, insert technology and best practices into that process to make it easy so we can provide a way that we can fill your calendar with the right interviews for the job ad that you're advertising and for who you're looking to hire. And so that's what we do. So an example is, we use generative AI to create a job posting for you. You provide a little bit more information about the job posting. We create the job posting. You can provide your branding because your company is unique. You've spent a lot of money building a great small business and your branding is important. So you can upload your header image like you would use on any of the meta platforms or Google. Once you've customized your job ad, we will walk you through a few screening/knockout questions that we would suggest automatically based on the role that you're hiring for. We'll give you a checklist of all the things that you're missing that you need to add to your job ad to be effective. Once you've determined your knockout questions, we allow you to indicate which knockout questions are required for you, are required to hire this person. Once you do that, then essentially the job ad goes live in our system, and we have a kind of a chatbot like experience. So when job seekers apply for a job, your job, they'll immediately be walked through a few of these knockout questions so that you're spending the right time with the right candidates. Now, the other really interesting thing is you can sync your calendar if you're using Outlook or if you're using Gmail. And so if the candidate passes your knockout questions and you're excited, passes your knockout questions as qualified, we surface the available times in your calendar automatically in the chat experience where the job seeker can immediately select a time to connect with you, and your calendar will immediately be synced with an interview for the candidate. And the whole idea is, taking out, if you think of like all the steps of the process that has to happen, the ping pong that happens with interview scheduling, right? This idea of like screening, why am I talking to this candidate? This candidate isn't necessarily qualified. All these steps in the process, at the end of the day, we want to fill your calendar up full of interviews and that you can make the right decision for your business and hire the right candidate. And that's what our platform provides for small businesses.
That chatbot, I'm assuming is an AI powered chatbot that's interacting when that person applies. Is that true? Or is that another way you're using AI to facilitate this?
We're not using AI specifically in the chatbot experience today, largely because we want questions answered that the employer has indicated.
So that's a team of
They
people
will.
then that you have that are actually responding and interacting with that candidate at that point.
Not a team of people. It's just not, it's automatic, right?
Got
So
it.
we're asking questions. It's not AI driven at this
Yeah,
point.
understood. So it follows it through a flow then but what it creates is that impression of immediate responsiveness to the candidate, right?
That's right. That's right. Sets the expectation that you're engaged, you're applying to this job. We need a little bit more information. We need these knockout questions answered to ensure that you're a great fit. And then through syncing of calendars, then that's when we serve up the available slots on your calendar directly in the chatbot experience.
How compared to the other major platforms that are out there, how are you getting that posting out to be as visible as possible to prospective employees?
Well, that's a great question. That's our history, right? So when we think of the idea of Talroo, right? ReadySetHire is a product you know, built by Talroo. And the whole idea with ReadySetHire is we're bringing the power of Talroo to every business. And Talroo is one of the top purveyors of talent today through our system, our platform for enterprise companies. So when we work with companies like, Chipotle or UPS or Amazon or others, they turn to us as one of their sources of candidates because of our massive reach and the over billion job searches that the Talroo technology is powering every month. So ReadySetHire is now that platform that then has the direct connection, into this vast talent marketplace that is Talroo that we've built over the last 10 years.
And so, and how is Talroo building that, I don't know, connection with prospective employees? How
Yeah,
is it
great.
that happened over time?
Definitely happened over time. So if we think about our origin story, we started with a job board. So today we operate jobs2careers.com, which is one of the top job search destinations online today. Similar, the experience at jobs2careers.com is what you would find on Indeed and what you would find probably on ZipRecruiter and other job sites, Career Builder and whatnot. So Jobs2Careers was the origin of our business. As we started moving up market and we started looking at, hey, how can we go beyond Jobs2Careers? That's when we rebranded to Talroo. And the whole idea of Talroo is we can open up our job search engine and allow other job boards to use in other areas to leverage our search and match technology outside of Jobs2Careers. So this journey from Jobs2Careers to Talroo, and now this new product with ReadySetHire allows us to really connect to that scale that we've built over the last 10 years through Talroo. So we have this history of candidate activity because we were a job board originally, and then moved into more platform software products to help tap into this large access of candidates that we have through Jobs2Careers and other places, other sites where our technology is powered. And so the idea of Talroo is, can we help turn the internet into a help wanted sign and allow our technology to be integrated, on many different websites. And today Talroo is integrated in many different websites.
So give me the summary on why should I consider posting on ReadySetHire, my job posting, as opposed to instead of or in addition to Indeed or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn Jobs. Why should I just post it on your site?
Value creation, right? Saving time, providing quality candidates, value creation for you and for your business. when you think of the tools and the way in which we help you create this strategy that we were sharing earlier, right? We said, hey, hiring is kind of reactive. All the best practices that we've learned over the years are now available for small businesses. And we've built that in the workflow of ReadySetHire. And so the idea is for you to save time, for you to save money, and for you to provide a way in which you can access great candidates. So it's value creation for the business, and it's value creation for the job seeker because they're looking for a job.
There's a free trial that I can check out at the website, correct?
That's right. It's free trial. You can log on, try us before getting started, and we'd love to have you as a customer.
And what's the website?
ReadySetHire.com.
And how do you make money on this? How do you monetize it? How does your business make money on this?
Yeah, so after the free trial, when you do enter the free trial, we have a process where it requires a credit card for the free trial. And then after that free trial, you can cancel or you can continue. If it's working for you, hopefully you continue, and you continue using ReadySetHire for your hiring needs and for your recruiting needs, and become a customer. If not, you can cancel, and we appreciate you checking us out. So how we make money is those customers that want to continue using ReadySetHire for recruiting and to find the right applicants for their business.
And is the model similar to, for example, in Indeed, I put money behind a posting to get it seen more? Is it a similar model to that, or is it just a subscription model? How does it work from my
Similar
perspective?
model, similar model where you put money in, you have different levels within your account, and you can, that will enable you to source and get access to candidates. Somewhat of a subscription as well. So it's quasi subscription, and of course, job sponsorship.
Got it. Okay, excellent. All right, I want to come back to a couple other things that I want to get your thoughts on. Specifically, what comes to mind that we haven't touched on yet is ghosting, which has become such a challenge. People just not showing up for a scheduled interview, for example. So, just what are your thoughts specifically, initially, as to why do you think that's happening more? That's definitely happening more so now than, let's say, even pre-COVID. And I've got some thoughts on it, but why is it happening?
So why is ghosting happen? I've reflected a lot on this over the last few years, and what I can say is it's the level of demand that we're seeing for frontline workers. There are a lot of jobs available. There are a lot more opportunities available than we've ever seen, and so I think from that perspective, it's a perfect storm, right? I think we've got this area where we aren't responding to candidates, immediately, not immediately, but quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two is that there's just more jobs available, and there's a lot more choice. And so we've got that going on. And probably number three is there are a lot of tools out there that make it a lot easier to apply.
Yeah.
And as an industry, we've got to go in with eyes wide open, with that, because we're probably not talking enough about that as an industry.
It seems to me like one point there that I want to explore makes most sense to me. We have applied all of this technology. We've disconnected it from being a personal situation. It's all done online. It's all, you submit it and then maybe you hear from them. That makes it easier for me than if I'm the applicant to not have any reservations or any hesitation to just not show up because I don't have a connection with you or your business. Do you see that approach then of having that immediate interaction through the bot and that immediate response that perhaps creates a deeper connection earlier in the process?
I think
And
so.
that might reduce some of this. Have you seen any of that?
I think so. I think we're a give to get society. And I think if you're able to provide instant feedback to a candidate, that will, whether it's AI or not, or whether it's a chatbot experience or not, it will help candidates feel like they're part of the process,
Mm-hmm.
versus simply submitting a form and hope to hear hope to hear back.
Yeah.
So I think
Y-
there's that. I also think that, people are applying to whatever. They're not, and that's a failure on the job seeker part.
Yeah.
They need to be very structured in how they apply. They shouldn't just apply to anything, right? They should apply for jobs and have a tailored experience when they're applying for jobs. That's a whole other education side of it with job seekers, I feel, as well.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing is just there's been so much, um, as I said earlier, there's so much more demand now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and wages have increased so much where, a lot of folks are, especially small businesses, if you think of a small business versus an enterprise business, enterprise businesses have the ability to pay a lot more from a wage perspective. And I think that's the other thing that is putting pressure on recruiting for small businesses is this transparency around wage. And that's one of the things that we did with ReadySetHire is when you create a job and post a job within ReadySetHire, we give you a salary / wage graph of, what you probably need to pay in your location to be successful using all of our data.
Mhm.
That's really important, right? Because you may be
Yeah.
thinking about, hey, I can hire a delivery driver for $12 an hour in a city, and that's what you've been hiring for the last, 3 or 4 years. And then all of a sudden it needs to be 18 to be successful,
Right.
right?
Right.
You need kind of that realization, and you need a data service to kind of somewhat wake you up to say, hey, I need to pay 18 to be competitive.
Agreed.
That may be a reason why I'm not getting applicants to my jobs, is because I'm not paying well
Mhm.
and people aren't showing up. They're doing their research.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So, other those things, using the technology like your platform offers with those knockout questions, what else it comes to mind that can help me with reducing ghosting?
The follow-up, what you can expect. A simple, even if you're, for instance, if you have an email address that's set up for hiring, um, have an autoresponder sent. So when a candidate responds to you, that you are immediately following up with a simple autoresponder. Hi, thanks for your application. Great to hear from you. We're excited
Mhm.
about reviewing your application and see if you're a fit for our role. By the way, check out our Instagram page, or here's more information about our company. Share a little bit more about you and about why your company is important. And that will go a long way. Imagine if you are submitting your application, you're the only one that immediately gives a response, even if it is an autoresponder. At least you care.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
care enough to set up an autoresponder that, hey, you want someone to learn about your business. The other thing that I would say is kind of a recruiting hack that I would provide to small businesses is, don't underestimate the power of your customer list. To me, that is an enormous treasure trove when you're thinking about recruiting and you're
Mhm.
thinking about launching a job ad. So an example is, with our platform, you can you can create a link. Once you've built your job ad, you can create a link, and you could go into ReadySetHire, grab a link for your job ad, send an email out to your customer list, your loyalty list, and say, hey, if you know anyone, Phil's Burgers is hiring,
Mhm.
right? And go here and forward to your friends or something like that, right? You can write some really great copy to help leverage your customer list and your loyalty list. That's
Absolutely.
an immediate opportunity, because think about it. People that know your brand, that buy from you, would probably want to come work for you,
Yeah.
or would recommend you to
Or
someone.
recommended. Yeah, because there's a subset of those people that are your fans, and they love the fact that they can say, "Oh, I know so and so is
Hello.
looking for a job. This would be a great place for him to work."
Right. I know
And
Ed.
they're
Ed
and they're
works.
selling it for you too, right? So they're
Exactly.
setting it
Exactly.
up. Yeah.
Exactly. So don't underestimate the power of your customer list for recruiting.
Yeah, I agree. It is an interesting. It's another mindset shift, I think, that even I had to kind of overcome, thinking that those are two separate things. We don't combine those two things for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but that has kind of been a mentality instead of using it. And also, it's an opportunity to communicate to your fan base, hey, because of you, thank you. We keep growing. We need more help.
Right. Simple principle of treat your applicants and candidates like your customers,
Love it.
and
That's
treat
great.
your customers like your applicants and candidates.
Yeah, that applies to how to properly format a job posting. Again, it's that shift in mindset of from moment one. The mindset I used to have certainly is you have to convince me why I should even give you an interview for all kinds of good reasons and obvious reasons. That has shifted. Now I have to sell, and probably that's the way it should have been, that potential candidate as to why they should consider joining my team.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else we didn't touch on that you thought, well, I hope he asks me about this, or anything else that we didn't talk about as it relates to ReadySetHire?
No, Henry, I could go on for this and talent acquisition and helping small businesses hire for hours. So
I
thank you
bet.
for the opportunity. This has been terrific.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for a book recommendation. Is there a book that comes to mind that you would recommend?
I would recommend an amazing book. It's Your Ship. And the reason why I would recommend it, it's been around for a number of years, but I love it because there's this idea of listen aggressively. And I think we can solve a lot of our problems by listening to our team members and listening to our customers. And there's so many great stories here about, turning, the worst ship into the best ship. And I think we can all learn from this.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks for that recommendation. I'll have it on the show notes page for this episode at thehowofbusiness.com. All right, let's wrap it up. What's one thing that you want us to take away from this conversation that we've had about hiring frontline workers using a platform like yours? What's one thing you want us to take away?
It's all about process, and it's about treating your candidates like your customers. And ensuring that you have that process ensures that you'll be more successful, there'll be less ghosting, and you'll set the right expectations and create a remarkable experience for your candidates.
And tell us where you want us to go online to learn more, and also for that free trial.
ReadySetHire.com.
Excellent. Dad, great conversation. Like I said, we could talk about this for hours. It's such an important topic, such an appropriate topic for us as small business owners. Thanks for taking the time, for sharing, providing your insights. Appreciate you being with me today.
Thank you so much, Henry. Have a terrific day.
This is Henry Lopez, and thanks for joining me on this episode of The How of Business. My guest today again is Thad Price. I release new episodes every Monday morning, and you can find the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, including the How of Business YouTube channel and my website, thehowofbusiness.com. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you for listening to The How of Business. For more information about our coaching programs, online courses, show notes pages, links, and other resources, please visit thehowofbusiness.com.